The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down of the big lake they call Gitchagumi. And from the southern shores of that lake, I speak to you now. North America's Lake Superior, the largest freshwater lake on the continent, holds captive hundreds of shipwrecks within her freezing, frigid waters. I want to tell you the story of one of those shipwrecks in particular. The Edmund Fitzgerald, a Great Lakes freighter that wandered the waters of the Great Lakes for just over 17 years until one very tragic night. And I'm going to make this quick because it is very cold out here. November 10th, 2025 marks the 50-year anniversary of this shipwreck, which is why I'm making this video. I am in Canal Park in Duluth, Minnesota, which is quite a ways off from where it went down, but still very much relevant in the tale of the Fitz. November 10th of 1975 featured a particularly nasty storm over Lake Superior, and that evening the Fitz, as she was often nicknamed, suddenly sank about 17 miles from the Whitefish Bay near the city of Sault Saint Marie. The Arthur M. Anderson was sailing nearby through the same horrific storm at the time the Fitz went down. And at around 7:10 p.m., her captain received a now infamous message from Ernest McSurley, the captain of the Edmund Fitzgerald. "We are holding our own." This was the last any of the 29 men on board were ever heard from. The Anderson's captain pleaded with the Coast Guard to begin searching for the lost freighter. No distress signal was ever sent, and no nearby ships or ports reported seeing the vessel. Eerily, the Anderson's Captain Cooper reported that around 6:30 p.m., his ship was hit by 3 roughly 35-foot rogue waves. He also reported that they were heading straight towards the Edmund Fitzgerald. It's also been confirmed that there was a previously unknown shoal that sat just beneath the surface of Superior's waters directly along the path that the Fitz sailed that night on her final journey. This shoal would have been made even shallower by a seiche that was likely to have accompanied this storm as it traversed Lake Superior. She may also have taken on too much water in her cargo hold due to hatch doors not being secured properly. The point is, we don't know why the Edmund Fitzgerald sank, and unfortunately we likely never will. Could have been a combination of all of these listed factors, or it could have been something entirely different altogether. To this day, the Fitz rests about 500 feet under the surface of Lake Superior's waters, with all 29 bodies presumably still inside. However, the lives and the story of the wreck have been forever immortalized by singer Gordon Lightfoot in 1976 when he wrote his song, "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald." I have heard this song probably 100 times in the last month as my fellow Minnesotans anticipate the coming occasion. The Fitz stretched 729 feet, making her the largest ship to have ever sunk in the Great Lakes, and at the time of the wreck was carrying taconite ore, about 26,000 tons more than she weighed empty, according to the song. This November 10th, I ask that you take a listen to the song, even if you already know it by heart, as I do, and pay your respects to the 29 lives that were lost that night on Superior in a truly horrific way. May those 29 forever rest in peace. May your graves lay undisturbed, peacefully, at the bottom of those treacherous, frigid waters on the big lake called Gitchagumi.
The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down of the big lake they call Gitchagumi. The lake, it is said, never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy. With a load of iron ore, 26,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitzgerald weighed empty. That good ship and true was a bone to be chewed when the gales of November came early. The ship was the pride of the American side, coming back from some mill in Wisconsin. As the big freighters go, it was bigger than most, with a crew and good captain well seasoned, concluding some terms with a couple of steel firms when they left fully loaded for Cleveland. Then later that night when the ship's bell rang, could it be the north wind they'd been feeling? The wind in the wires made a tattletale sound, and the wave broke over the railing. And every man knew, as the captain did too, 'twas the witch of November come stealing. The dawn came late and the breakfast had to wait when the gales of November came slashing. When afternoon came, it was freezing rain in the face of a hurricane west wind. When supper time came, the old cook came on deck saying, "Fellas, it's too rough to feed you." At 7 p.m. a main hatchway gave in. He said, "Fellas, it's been good to know ya." The captain wired in, he had water coming in, and the good ship and crew was in peril. And later that night when his lights went out of sight, came the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Does anyone know where the love of God goes when the waves turn the minutes to hours? The searchers all say they'd have made Whitefish Bay if they'd put 15 more miles behind her. They might have split up or they might have capsized. They may have broke deep and took water. And all that remains is the faces and the names of the wives and the sons and the daughters. Lake Huron rolls, Superior sings in the rooms of her ice water mansion. Old Michigan steams like a young man's dreams. The islands and bays are for sportsmen. And farther below, Lake Ontario takes in what Lake Erie can send her. And the iron boats go, as the mariners all know, with the gales of November remembered. In a musty old hall in Detroit they prayed in the Maritime Sailors' Cathedral. The church bell chimed till it rang 29 times for each man on the Edmund Fitzgerald. And the legend lives on from the Chippewa on down of the big lake they call Gitchagumi. Superior, they said, never gives up her dead when the gales of November come early.